Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good afternoon and good evening too. Hey there, folks. My name is Brad Varnell. This is the Infinite Crypto YouTube channel. How's everybody doing? Welcome back. It is Monday, December 29th. We are all still getting recovered from hopefully an amazing Christmas last week. Hope all of you had a wonderful time with your friends and family and your loved ones. And hopefully Santa Claus showed up and gave you a little something that you've been hoping for. Hi, Eric. Good morning, buddy. Hope you're doing fantastic. I know you had a fun Christmas. Your kids are the perfect age to really enjoy the heck out of Christmas. So hopefully you and your wife and your children had a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. Guys, it was a really special Christmas for me because we had the new addition to the family. My granddaughter, Isabel, turned 1 on December 26th. So we got to celebrate Christmas with everybody, including her. And then we also had a separate celebration for her birthday. You know, one of the troubles for those of you that are born near Christmas, it can be a difficult time to get people to separate your presents and to actually make a big deal about your birthday. And so we've decided, me and my wife, and of course my daughter and her her husband or future husband have decided that we're really going to make sure, even though her birthday is on the 26th, that we always do Christmas, and then her birthday is a totally separate thing with totally separate presents. And anyways, it was incredible, and I hope that you guys had a great day too. Today's going to be a little bit on the shorter side. I'm trying to put together some topics and some things that are still potent, that still help you go out and tackle the week and give you the ability to, make some changes in your life if you're looking to. But without necessarily droning on and talking for an hour and a half. So welcome to everybody here, Mr. Daniel. Good morning, Daniel. Hope you are having a fantastic day. And I already said hello to my good buddy, Eric. So, hey, there he is. Dave P. overslept this morning. No, just kidding you, my friend. How you doing, Dave? Hope you are having an amazing day. And I hope you're had a great weekend. So what are we going to talk about today? Let me click over here because I'm tired of looking at myself full screen already. But a couple of things that I wanted to mention is, hey, man, here we are. 3 days left, including today, and 2025 will be a wrap. And so I really would love to inspire you guys to, do a little bit about what we talked about last week, where you get some goals and some ideas, some plans, some things that you want to accomplish in 2026 written down. But remember from last week, writing down the goal, like I want to own a 2026 Jeep Rubicon, or I want to make $250,000 in 2026. Writing that down isn't the most important part. Remember, guys, that it's crucial to do that part. You got to get it written down so you can look at it and see it, but spend more time and get ready to start doing the things. So once you've got the goal written down, make sure you get your list of daily activities, your standards, your routines put into place, so that if you do the things that you need to do on a daily basis, the goal is almost inevitable. But what I wanted to talk a little bit more about today was something called entropy. If you're not sure what entropy is, it basically, the definition is anything left to itself tends to move more and more towards disorder. So entropy is, you've probably heard it in the term of, like, let's say that somebody gets into a car accident and they end up in bad shape and they end up in the hospital for 3 months. Well, their muscles have a lot of entropy. And so during that 3 months where they've basically been left to itself, the body has just been left to lay in that hospital bed. When that 3 months is over, their muscles left to themselves have deteriorated and their strength is gone. And there's a huge process in rebuilding that. Another good example, would be a lot of people. The reason I'm talking about this today, guys, is because I don't think most people understand this concept when it comes to their life. And so I really want to make these examples stick out. So another example is a house. You guys might not think about it on a daily basis, or maybe you've never thought about it. But every one of us is driven by an abandoned house. Let me ask you a question. If there's a house that's abandoned, nobody's living in it, so it's being left to itself, does it continue to get better and better and look nicer and nicer? Or after a year or 2 or 5, does it look like a piece of junk? Well, most of the time, if you can envision a house that has been abandoned for several years, man, left to itself is not a good thing. There's dust and dirt and probably some broken windows, and the yard has grown up and you can't even see the front door. And it's a good mind picture to think about a house that has just been left to itself. Well, the reason I bring up examples like this, same thing, you guys have all seen a car. Imagine, it's kind of a funny Facebook post. I don't have it handy, but there's a Facebook post where this tree has grown right up through the middle of a car, and the branches are coming out the windows, and it's a convertible, and the tree just grew right up through the middle of this car. And the caption underneath it was, the wife saying, "Are you ever going to get rid of that thing?" And the husband saying, "No, dear, that's one of my projects. I'm going to get around to fixing that sucker up, one of these days." But we can all imagine a car that's been sitting out in a field and hasn't been touched, has just been left to itself. Well, guys, what I want you to be aware of and think about is our lives are very much the same way. Anything in our life, whether it's our finances, our faith, our health, relationships, our homes, our cars, any of these things that are just left to take care of themselves, move more and more towards disorder. And so, you can probably see it with some relationships in your life. If you've got anybody in your life that maybe at one point in time you were pretty close to, but now you only talk to once in a great while, that relationship, which is now just tending to itself, is becoming weaker and weaker and weaker. Now, I know all of us have friends that we cannot talk to for 10 years, and something brings us together, and it's kind of almost like those 10 years were never there, and we're kind of right back to where we were. But that's pretty rare in life. And even with those types of people, the relationship that you would have with them, if you guys were putting some work into it instead of just letting the relationship tend to itself, it would be dramatic. So while it's a short video today, one of my main points and one of the biggest things I want you to think about is, what in your life are you just letting tend to itself? What relationships are you just letting tend to themselves? What are you just letting your faith, your spiritual side of you, your relationship with whoever you believe in, whoever your higher power is? For me, it's Jesus Christ. But are you just letting that relationship kind of tend to itself? Are you letting your wife or your husband, are you just letting that relationship kind of tend to itself? what is going on? Like, I know that you guys are probably not doing that with your finances, because this is a cryptocurrency investing channel, and we talk about a lot of things when it comes to money, not so much on Monday, but it's still, like, if you're watching this channel and you're a little bit newer to the channel and you're just, kind of came across it and you're trying to get your life on track, look at your financial situation. Your financial situation for sure has a tendency to move towards massive, massive, massive disorder the more that you just forget about it and try to let it tend to itself. Your finances are something that need to be really, really calculated and a lot of focus and time put on. I was watching a short video by a lady named Cody Sanchez, who I really love. She is kind of the queen of buying businesses. She started buying up laundromats and car washes and different businesses that people wanted to, get out from under. There's a lot of people right now in their 60s, 70s, 80s that have these businesses that their kids don't want to inherit. Their kids don't want anything to do with the businesses. And a lot of people, this has been their baby. It's made them a living for 20, 30, 40 years. And now they're getting to the point where they want to retire. Their kids don't want the businesses and they're willing to sell these businesses. And she's an expert at creative financing and coming in and buying businesses and, cash flowing them and adding to them. But anyways, that's kind of a different topic for a different day. But she was not too long ago, she was with a billionaire. And the billionaire asked her, so how are your finances looking? And she's like, they're all right. They're not bad. He's like, how much money do you have in the bank? She's like, I'm not really sure. It's probably somewhere around $100,000. And the billionaire looked at her and said, what? You don't know how much money is in your bank account? She's like, no, not exactly, not down to the dollar. And he's like, well, what about your businesses? What about this and this and this and this? And she could only answer him in generalities. And he basically told her something along these lines. Don't quote me here because it's been a few days since I watched it, and this just came to my mind. But he said basically that money is a jealous mistress that needs constant attention or she will flee you. And so she basically said to this billionaire, so you're telling me that if I will look at my money every single day and, keep track of where it's going, how I'm making it, where I'm investing it, but if I will focus on my money situation every single day, that's going to help me to make more money? And the billionaire basically told her, try it for a year and see what happens. And so she made a commitment to watch her money and to focus on her finances, where every dollar was getting spent, where the inflow was coming from. And literally a year later, she said that her financial situation had never been better. She was, she had 10x'd her income and things were going great. And just imagine that. Think about that, guys. And, once again, I'm having this talk for me because I don't watch my money anywhere near well enough. I don't know about you guys, but I'll go back after having a fantastic month and I'll be like, where did all the money go? How did we make 25 grand last month and yet it's all gone? And then I'll go back in my head and I'll try to figure out okay, we spent this much on this, we paid these bills, we bought this, we went on this trip, and I'll try to work backward in my head. But as far as if you ask me, I know, okay, here's a good example for you guys. I love my Dutch Bros. When I get done with this live stream, I'm going to head and go grab a cup of coffee. and my wife will get one too. And we spend what we spend. But if you were to ask me, how much money, Brad, did you spend on coffee in 2025? I couldn't tell you. I mean, if you said, hey, Brad, if you can get within $1,000 of how much money you spent on coffee in 2025, I'll give you $1 million. I probably wouldn't get the $1 million. I could get lucky. I mean, I've got a little bit of a rough idea in my mind what it costs on a daily basis, but we've got, multiple days a week that we go get it twice and so on and so forth. So I've spent enough money on coffee to fund a lot of stuff. But, the reason why I have never stopped going and getting the coffee is because I've never let myself actually look at it on a daily basis. There's probably a pretty good chance that if I took a notebook and I came home today from my trip to Dutch Bros and I wrote down, spent $21.35. And then I did that tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, that after like 30, 40, 50, 60 days, I'd be looking at that list of expenditures and going, oh my gosh, Brad, I do know this much. I'm probably spending a car payment every month on Dutch Brothers. What could that $500 to $1,000 a month that I'm spending on coffee go towards? That's just one little example. But entropy, anything left to tend to itself, normally moves more and more towards disorder. So that's the challenge, or your homework today, is what in your life are you kind of letting it tend to itself? What are you doing with my money? What are you doing in your life with, like I'm doing with my money, where I'm just not paying close enough attention to it? Yes, I know I make it, I spend it on stuff, but I couldn't really tell you. I mean, I can't even tell you exactly, the inflow. If you ask me, how much money did you make in 2025? Once again, like if you just said, hey, Brad, here's a suitcase with $1 million. And if you can tell me how much money you made in 2025, it's yours. I would not be able to, I probably would not, and I had to be within a few $1,000s, I would not get that $1 million. And what's even worse is if you ask me, hey, Brad, if you take all of your business income and then subtract your legitimate business expenses, how much did you net? I got no idea. Like, even if you gave me a $25,000 window, I probably couldn't answer that for $1 million. And that's not good. I'm kind of telling on myself, but I have a feeling that I might not be the only one. But how in the world, guys, do you realize it's possible? It's possible. I'm not saying that it is, that it happened, but it's possible that I made I can't talk. I could have made negative money this year. Do you realize there's a lot of businesses out there that they don't realize? You ever watch Shark Tank, and you've seen this guy on there, and he's talking about how he made whatever $480,000 in revenue last year, and they ask him how much of that was profit, and he says, well, it was, I lost 20 grand. Well, at least he knows he lost 20 grand. But you realize how many business owners are out there, people that are trying to create wealth, that don't know that number? Wouldn't it be pretty important if you were, say you had a $500,000 a year business and you were thinking that you were super, super successful and man, you felt like you were on top of the world, but then you did the math and you really realized that out of that 500,000, only 50,000 of it was profit. 50,000 is what you're actually living off of. So yeah, you've got $500,000 inflow, but you got 450,000 in business expenses and you only had 50 grand to live off of. That's a whole lot different conversation with yourself than, somebody that's thinking that they're making $500,000 a year. They go around and when people ask them, hey, how's it going? How's business? How's life treating you? Oh man, I'm killing it, man. Made $500,000 this year. Well, they didn't make $500,000. They made 50 grand, but they focused on the $500,000. So there's a lot of areas in our life where we fool ourselves when we let things take care of themselves. So that is your homework. Go through your life, figure out what maybe you are letting tend to itself, and make a commitment to step in and take a more proactive approach in those areas of your life. And remember that focus grows. The reason that that woman went from 100,000 in her bank to over 1 million in a year was because of the focus. See, without the focus and the awareness, there will be no change. I guarantee you, when she really started looking at the inflow and outflow, she made some changes. One of the changes that she made, she started focusing on the businesses that were making her the most money. She realized relatively quickly, when she really started looking at her businesses, that 2 or 3 of her businesses were making like 75 or 80% of the money, and the other 7 or 8 or 9 businesses were just making the other 20 or 30%. So one of the first things she did was she doubled down on those businesses that were the most profitable and that were bringing in the most money. You know, like in my case, I'm pretty sure if I really wrote down every expenditure and really looked at it, and if I could tell you to the penny how much money I had spent on coffee in 2025, there's a pretty good chance I'd be buying a coffee pot and drinking coffee at home, because the coffee at Dutch Bros is good, but it ain't, $10,000 a year better than the coffee that I could be making at home, and so on and so forth. So when you decide to focus on something and not let it tend to itself, the reason things change is because your awareness changes, and therefore you make changes. So last but not least here, before we hop off of here and go tackle the day, Dave is on vacation in AZ. I always get distracted. I look over at the comments and I see Dave's out in vacation in Arizona. You're probably nowhere near me, Dave, but I don't know if in driving back to wherever you're going to get, if you're going to end up anywhere near Kingman, Arizona during this trip, let me know, man. I'd love to have you hop off the freeway and meet up with you and have lunch and get to spend a little bit of time with you in person, if that is possible. But I like this this Facebook post that I found. It says the American's Creed. And you can change this to whatever country or wherever you're from. But I just love the message, and it's probably too small for you guys to see on your phone. But it says, I do not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon. I seek opportunity to develop whatever talents God gave me, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to barter incentive for a dole. I prefer the challenge of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the state of calm utopia. I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any earthly master nor bend to any threat. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to think and act myself, enjoy the benefit of my creations, and to face the world boldly and say, this, with God's help, I have done. All this is what it means to be an American. So guys, we don't believe in being average here on the Infinite Crypto YouTube channel. We believe that God put us here to do something special with our lives. And that specialness is going to overflow and impact other people's lives. So with 2 days left, 3 including today in 2025, what are we going to do for this last 3 days to impact some lives and to position ourselves to have an absolutely amazing 2026 where we go out and have the best year, not only for us, but we are in a position to help other people have the best year of their lives. I love you guys. I appreciate all of you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And I really look forward to seeing you again tomorrow morning on the Tuesday Trader live stream. With that, go get them. Have a great one. Talk soon. Bye-bye for now.